based on some of the viewers' interest. And
Yes.
if you want to tell the viewers a little bit about tonight's lineup.
Yes, and the first clip is...
The first clip we have, tonight's basis really is three parts. The first part is about marriage. It's about expectations. It's about making a marriage work within the context of living overseas, not in Afghanistan, but living overseas, whether it be America, Europe, and balancing that act of having the Afghan culture as well as the American culture. So the first clip is called The 7 Stages of Marriage, and we'll play that for you. And then after that, we actually have a counselor here with us, Aida Vazin. She's with Journeys Coaching and Counseling. So she's going to be with us, and she's going to talk about some of the high points as far as why people get into
پول اجرا کردن که در آخر برنامه برای شما خواهم نشان داد.
بسیار خوب. دیگه میشه کلیپ
فعلا
اول
بله.
ببینیم. کلیپ اولی جالب است که متوجه باشین. باز بعد از کلیپ آیدا وزینم به استیج بریم. اونها یک ذره تشریح کنن هم درباره ازدواج و همچنان درباره expectations، درباره راه حل یگان مشکلاتی که دوستا دارند.
بله بسیار تاپیک خوب است به خاطری که درباره ازدواج است و کلگی ما کلگی ما ضرورت داریم که به یا گوش بدیم.
A negotiation like a business all of a sudden, and you want to come out of that. If you get rid of that pressure to have to do something a certain way, then you have more room to be able to make a decision that's best for you.
That's true. One question, Aida John, what does it mean when two people are married, they said, I love you, but I'm not in love with you? What does that exactly mean?
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a good question. It depends. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. That means...
Is it gender-based or is it...
It could be...
I think more women say that than men do, don't they?
I don't know.
It could be both.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm outnumbered here, so I don't want to misspeak here, but...
I wouldn't personally give it a gender base. I would say it's more going back to probably the reason why they got married wasn't for true love, wasn't because there was that love ever between the two of them. And you might end up loving a person because of who they are, but it's just not the match for you. And you have to be okay with that. And sometimes, you can like somebody, you can love somebody, but they may not be the match for you.
Do you think chemistry has a lot to do with
Absolutely.
it? To have that
Absolutely.
chemistry make the marriage or the relationship longer?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's key. Chemistry is the foundation, I should say. It's a beginning.
As a culture, I don't think we look at
no such thing.
Marriage as like, let's have chemistry. We just look at it more of a contract.
Yeah.
Is it the right family? Is
right.
it education, all that.
Exactly.
So I think the chemistry has a lot to do with keeping the marriage strong.
Yeah, right? And like you said, is it the right family, the education? In those situations, you tend to marry for your family rather than for yourself. And in another question, how do you get over hurt? Like if all of us, at one time in our life, we've been hurt in a relationship or a marriage or broken marriages. How do you get over it? Like you're a counselor, do you deal with people that are going through that stages? Absolutely.
So come in unbiased to a new relationship, in other words.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, in cases like that, if you just, sweep it under the rug and just don't talk about it and say, I'm going to move on, or, I'll just start dating someone else, so I forget about the other person, or I'll just get into another marriage, so I forget about that marriage. It's not resolving anything. So it's going to build up based on all the things that you had before, and it's just going to become like a bigger problem. So that's counseling is great for that. It's a very good neutral place to be able to talk about those things and understand what was so painful about that relationship. Maybe it wasn't necessarily the way a person talked to you or what they said to you, but just the way that they treated you in public, or something like that. It could be anything. And that's where you learn about yourself. That's where the self-help and the growth and your own personal evolution comes in.
Okay. Now, how about in cases where, for example, two folks come into a marriage, and it really is a good story. The families agree, the names are there, and they come into a relationship, they have children, but all of a sudden, neither one of them wants to budge. How do you balance that with some of your clients? In other words, one spouse wants to hold on to something real tight, the other one wants to hold on to something else, and they just can't find the balance. In other words, they're focusing on each other and not the kids. How can you help? Because the person that actually emailed essentially is asking about that, where they have problems, but they want to make sure that the kids are left aside and not hurt in sort of a feud.
What do you mean by your question exactly?
Well, they are really not getting along.
They're not getting along.
Right? But they're using the kids as pawns, and it's common.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, very much.
Okay, yeah. In a case like that, I mean, you don't know what damage that does for a child to put them in the middle of something like that. If you are having a conflict and you need to figure out where you're going to go with it, if you can keep the children out of it as much as possible, this is the perfect time to go talk to a counselor, talk to someone neutral on how to address these kind of issues, because that process is very damaging to children. And
yeah, what I essentially shared with my friend was that no matter how much you distance yourself from the other person, you will always be associated with that person.
Yes.
In other words, that child will eventually graduate from high school. The child will graduate from college. The child will have birthdays. They'll have weddings. Both parents will be there. And so leaving the kids out, making sure that you have, for example, if the marriage is bound to break up, then at least find a way to not bring the kids into it.
right. In an ideal situation, if you guys can maintain dialogue, friendship, that would be great. I know that's not realistic.
Text each other, maybe?
Text each other.
Okay.
Yeah. The modern dialogue. That would be an ideal situation. If not, again, don't, try to find some way to speak with each other or be able to be present in the same room with each other without putting a lot of pressure on the child or using the child as a means for communication. Oh, tell your father this. Oh, tell your mother that. That's very damaging. I cannot stress how damaging that is to a child.
And how about in cases where, for example, a young couple will, for example, decide that, okay, they have some problems. Problems will eventually go away if they have a child.
No way.
That doesn't solve the problem?
Absolutely not. No, that's just, you're just bringing another life into the problem. So
yeah, that's just
you're bringing another life into the problem, and that's if that's the way that you're thinking, please go talk to someone before you choose to have a child and see, is this the person you're going to have a connection with the rest of your life? That child, like you said, is going to have graduations, weddings, they're going to have their own children, and you're going to be connected to this child through the person that you're married to. And just really, before you make a decision like that, it is an awesome decision. And see what your reasons for having a child is. Or is it because you want to have a child, because you guys are in a place to have a child, or is it because you're hoping that this child is going to fix everything? Because that's never the case. It's not.
Doesn't work that way?
No.
I thought that was the solution.
And also you refer to you dealing with family conflicts. What do you mean by family conflicts?
Family conflicts. Our culture is notorious for having our in-laws involved with a lot of the marriages. And this creates a lot of chaos in the family. You're not only trying to please your husband and wife, you're trying to please your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, the grandparents, and it's really stressful, and it's taxing on a young couple that's trying to build a life together. And it's about kind of just setting those boundaries of, we're still part of the family, but now I'm not a me, I'm a we, and getting used to that idea.
Right.
And how do you avoid that just to...
It's about changing the relationship. It's about, setting some boundaries as opposed to, I was used to seeing you every day. Maybe now we might have to do it twice a week, you know, to do the family thing, because I have to take care of my priorities first in order to come and see you and be a part of this family. It's adapting to a change.
So there's a little bit of a delicate balance here, because you naturally want to be close to your parents, to your spouse's parents, and you also want to build enough goodwill so that you can use these parents for babysitting, but you don't want to lose that ticket, right?
Right.
Okay, so you have to find that balance. And
I mean, it's a change. It's a change. I mean, people that just got married, have been married,
right, 2 years.
You know, so it's a change. You know, you change, your identity changes. You know, you're not just Taymor. You're Taymor and
Sahar.
Right. Thank you. This is a really interesting topic. We'd like to have you back, because I know that a number of emails and phone calls will come based on this, and it was a good introduction to our viewers. So if it's okay with you, we have your information on our website. So it's afghanng.com. Click on the blog, and Aida Vazin's information is there. Please contact her if you need help, or if you just want to pass ideas along. Whatever you do with her is confidential. It doesn't come to the show. We're not going to share your stories. Please, if you need help, get help. If you can't get help, come to us and we'll find you a way. But we'd like to have you back, and in the future we want to bring some couples in, and perhaps maybe we can have a dialogue. And
I'd be happy to come back, and I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great idea.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate some wonderful stuff that you said. Hopefully everybody can, you know, use it, including me and Taymor John. We all use it.
Have something to think about tonight.
Yes. And we really appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
خب تیمور جان، فعلا میریم یک بریک میگیریم، یک آهنگ از آریانا جان گوش میدیم. تا چند لحظه دیگه با ما باشید.